Coming to you live from $1 Million Studios. It's your boys, Chris Speezak.
And your boy, Silky Bangs. The
Speez
Benchmark.
And the Benchmark Show on a Monday night, July 23rd, 2018, on a historic night.
Historic, man.
As WWE would have us believe. Historic night in that we got the announcement, Stephanie McMahon's big announcement, of course, that we have our first ever women's pay-per-view. So we got that to look forward to. And we got a lot of your takes on that. We're going to be sharing those here shortly, and we're looking forward to chatting with everybody online. So thank you for joining us, whether you are on the YouTubes or on Periscope, wherever you happen to be. Thank you for being with us. We are always grateful to have you. Hope you will share the program. Hit that retweet button if you're watching us on Periscope, wherever you happen to be seeing us. Thank you for being here. And thank you for being here, Silky. It's good to see you, sir.
Good to see you.
Glad to hear things are going well with you and yours. So let's get to this women's pay-per-view. Not a huge surprise in terms of, a lot of people kind of saw it coming, but it's still a big deal for fans of women wrestling. So we were excited about that. We asked on Twitter for you guys to share your thoughts about the women's pay-per-view. So we want to get to those first before we get to our official takes.
All right.
So let's take you through some of the stuff that we saw on Twitter tonight. So first off, we had Say Yes to Women's Wrestling. Well-deserved. All of these women are special. Women wrestling keeps evolving, and this is why, as a man, I say yes to women's wrestling. Very, very positive take there, for sure. We had Amber Goff. I think it will be a reunion of sorts. I only wish May, Chyna, and the others were there to see it. And they have said that they're going to bring back quite a few of the old names. So it will be a reunion of sorts. I agree with that. Our friend Tana, busting for autism. Amazing and definitely earned. Let's see, the 7WF. We watch every pay-per-view and have for like 20-something years straight and won't miss this one either. Most likely be better than most, looking to see wrestlers we normally don't see, and that's cool as hell. Our friend Warren Hayes, you can follow him at Mr. Warren Hayes. Really exciting that they're throwing the NXT Women's title and the Mae Young Classic Finals in there as well, which our friends at Tacomania up there in the Canada. Couldn't agree more. Here's hoping we get women's tag titles. And Brooke agreed on that. Freaking excited. I'm happy. Hopefully before the pay-per-view premieres, they will announce the new women's tag team title. So that was a take from a couple of different people. Hey, what's going on, Brooke? Good to have you with us. There was a take from quite a few people. We were hoping this announcement would be women's tag team titles.
That's what I was hoping for, and it just never materialized. But, I mean, I'm all for the show, but it's just my thing is like, it's not to be that guy, but this is not very groundbreaking. For essence, like TNA's been doing Ladies Night Out. Hell, Booker T down here in Houston, ROW, Reality of Wrestling, they do a women's Ladies Night Out where it's all women on the card. So, you're not breaking new ground, but so that kind of irritates me that they're trying to pass off like they are the first ones that came up with this idea.
True.
But, I mean, I get in the WWE sense, it is a big thing, and I'm looking forward to, I think it's bigger news that this will be the first pay-per-view that's really like joint using NXT people as well.
See, now
as a featured part of it. Like I know, like the very first Roadblock had Enzo and Cass wrestling for the NXT tag titles when they were still down there, but that wasn't like a feature. That was like a bonus. Like this is in a featured position.
Yeah, exactly. And Brooke says it's not too late. It could still happen. And I agree, Brooke. There still is time for that to happen. And,
my question would be, who would you have fight for it?
Well, that's a great question. There was actually, I'm going to pull up the article here because the folks over on Cage Side Seats actually wrote an article about some potential tag teams that we could see if the women's division went tag team. What's up, Kiwi Meta or Kiwi Meta? Or whatever it is your Twitter handle is. Thanks for being with us. Hope all of you will join in the chat here. We want to hear from you guys, so definitely share your thoughts with us as well. You just want to hear us rap for a while, that's okay too, but we're always welcoming to your thoughts.
I have the take that if it's anything other than Bayley and Sasha versus the Iconics, it's bullshit.
Yeah, you got to have the Iconics in there. That was one of the first tag teams that came to mind. And if you remember a while back, we actually had one of our viewers on Periscope bring up the idea of the Bellas coming back and having a feud with the Iconics, which I think would be absolutely brilliant. Now, not to say that that has to be the first tag team match. Brooke suggests a tournament, which, again, we haven't had a good, solid main roster tournament in the WWE in a while. I mean, well, what's the last tournament that we had in the main roster?
Probably the one where Reigns won the WWE title and Sheamus cashed in on him in 5 minutes and 16 seconds.
That's true. That was the end of a tournament, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the end of, and that ended at Survivor Series that year. Now, other than that, I think they've had some mini ones. Like,
they've had like
Raw.
#1 contenders things and things like that.
like
but like an actual legit tournament, like winner gets the title kind of tournament, they don't do those nearly as often. And we don't see the King of the Ring, obviously. We haven't seen that in a while. Maybe it's just because we all got tournament fever because the G1 is going on. And we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But, as far as the tag team division goes, the question was, are there enough women on the roster to fill in enough spots to where you could legitimately have a tag?
It's a little bit difficult. Now, if it was like one big show of women, like the women competed on both brands,
right?
Then I would say yes, because then there's more than enough. But like right now, as it is with the brands being fractured like that, I don't see it unless you call up a shitload of women from NXT.
Well, now the idea is that the women would potentially defend these titles on both brands. It would be you would defend them on SmackDown, you would defend them on Raw as well. We'll see how that plays out. I want to get to so this is Sean Reuter, over on, I hope I'm saying his name right, over on Cage Side Seats. So these are the people that he listed as possible tag teams if we were to have a women's tag team division. He mentions the Riot Squad.
That's a good one.
Alexa Bliss and Mickie James.
I don't see that because she's the women's champ. But.
Well, we'll maybe. Natalya and Nia Jax. Sasha Banks and Bayley.
That's a good one.
Alicia Fox and Dana Brooke.
Not really.
Not really, but you could maybe see it just to have them do something, because what the hell else are they doing?
Well,
give them something else to do. The Iconics. Sonya Deville and Mandy Ross. That's a winner.
Rose.
Naomi and Lana. That's a winner. And Becky Lynch and Charlotte.
Naomi and Lana.
Well, just because of what they've, they're kind of pairing in the past. I don't know what's going on with that going forward. And he mentions Becky Lynch and Charlotte as well. He says, now, admittedly, it's thin, but then again, the men's tag team roster isn't exactly overflowing with tag teams right now that are challenging for the title. So
it is true.
You could make it work. You could make it work, especially if, like you're saying, maybe you include NXT talent in there as well. Maybe you figure out some way to give them more challengers. I think it's a definite possibility. Some people don't like it, but I think it could definitely work. Just one. That's just one facet of this event. I think if we're going to focus on the event itself, it's a great thing that the women are finally getting their own pay-per-view. You and I have been saying for a long time that what the women really need is, instead of piggybacking on all of these men's matches like a Royal Rumble and an Elimination Chamber and all that kind of stuff, they needed something that was theirs, that they could own, that could be their own thing. And hopefully we
got a pay-per-view, which is, very much what men do too. So it's
this
very
is true,
much
but,
keeping in line with what they've been doing.
And chime in, guys. Welcome to those of you who are joining us on Periscope as well. Now, that being said, we don't know what any of the matches are. Yeah. We know that there's going to be over 50 women involved, is what Stephanie McMahon said. So you got to figure there's some manner of tournament or Royal Rumble or something like that. Not Royal Rumble, but some kind of Battle Royal, something along those lines.
Boo.
But there's going to be something on there, rather than just a series of, singles and tag team matches. So, we'll see what they do with it. Hopefully they do something good and give the women something that's their own, that they can own and, break away from just piggybacking off what the men do. Now, it was not all positive, because this is Twitter that we're talking about. Yeah. So, of course, we had some negative messages come our way. So, in the interest of including everybody, we'll throw some of these up here as well. One voice forward says, I think it will be a work in progress, but it's a step in the right direction.
Which really isn't that negative. I mean,
true. Not just gushing about it like others were. We also had Sound Off 316, been rumored for a while, so it's not shocking or surprising. He was hoping for an all-women's show like 205 Live, but one network special is okay, I guess. I think we're not too far away, hopefully, from the women getting their own show. I still say that that would be the best in the long run because you open up a lot more time to develop women's storylines and you open up a lot more time to develop men's storylines. It's a win-win. Now, is it a win-win financially?
No.
That becomes the question, and that's where you're probably going to run into some issues. Let's see, moving back to the tweets. I'm happy for them, but it feels forced to me. This was Lynch Fan for Life. He mentioned this was probably done in reaction to the Greatest Royal Rumble being an all-men's event. We also had...
But that was a while ago, so I don't think it's that forced. Now, if they had come out with this like a couple weeks after that, I'd understand, but I don't really feel like it's forced.
Do you think this is a reaction? Because this is another take that I saw quite often. Do you think this is a reaction to the Greatest Royal Rumble and the women not being involved at the Greatest Royal Rumble?
No, absolutely not. I don't feel like this is a reaction to that. I feel like this is the next step of what they're trying to do to build the women's wrestling movement.
Yeah,
and I mean, it's a natural progression. I mean, you had the main event of pay-per-view. You had them do the first ever Hell in a Cell. You had your first ever women's Money in the Bank, the first ever women's Royal Rumble.
Yes.
And, I mean, you can't really do Survivor Series because there always been a women's match, so there's nothing new there. So what do you do next to take this movement to the other level? You give them their own pay-per-view, their own special.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's even before giving them their own show. Yeah,
it's a natural progression. So after this works, then the show will probably come around.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, I was not surprised to see this take. That people were saying this. Again, I'm with you. I don't agree with it. Brooke says she doesn't think so at all either. I tend to agree. I think this is, as you said, they've been building towards this for a long time.
Yes.
One of the few things that's left is for the women to main event WrestleMania, and we kind of already talked about that last week.
My sense is that probably won't happen.
Remains to be seen, and then for the women to have their own television show, which we're not quite there yet, but this was another thing to check off the list. So back to our tweets. It's me, Barrett says, overplayed, overmentioned excuse for another all-male event, assuming that he means that this was a reaction to the Greatest Royal Rumble. Could be, we'll see. And Jay Short Ultimate says, yawn, they better book that pay-per-view in a bingo hall if they want a sellout. Now, it's gonna take me to my next question here. How, and welcome those of you joining us on Periscope. Again, feel free to chime into the discussion. Those of you on the YouTubes, do the same. We want to hear your takes on the big announcement today from WWE about the Women's Evolution pay-per-view. Does this event need to be, I know my answer, I'm asking you because I'm interested in hearing your take as well, and those of you watching. Does this need to be a financial success for the event to be considered a success?
No.
You don't think so?
No, it does not, because you're going to sell out the arena because it's WWE.
Now, that was going to be my next question. Do you think this is going to sell out?
It'll sell out because they're not going to, I'm not going to go as disrespectful as that, whoever that fuck was that said, put it in bingo hall, but they're not going to fucking run AT&T for this show. It's going to be a smaller arena, think about where Ring of Honor runs.
So you're thinking like a 5,000 seat arena. You don't think they're going full on 12,000 seat Toyota Center here in Houston, something like that?
No. No. Well, actually, didn't they say where? No, they just said the city where it's going to be. They didn't actually say the venue right.
I don't recall the venue off the top of my head, but
so
I'll be anxious to see whether they go with
didn't they say Fort Lauderdale? Where was it at?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I kind of zoned out after that.
Yeah, people listening, chime in if you remember the city they said. But I don't believe it's going to be in a big, like you say, venue like that.
So you think it's going to be a smaller...
It's going to be a smaller, to test the waters and see. And I think that it will be a good thing for the women, of course. And it will... And with that being said, all they have to do is get good numbers on that network. They get good numbers, they can move forward with the next phase of their plan. So money-wise, no, it doesn't have to be a financial success to be a success.
It just needs to be...
because this is wrestling.
Yes, Brooke, we did just find that. Thank you, Brooke, for confirming. It's going to be in Long Island, as a matter of fact.
Oh, Long Island. Yeah, Long Island. I can't think of any big fucking venues in Long Island. So that should tell you where they're planning to run.
Yeah, I don't know. There could be a spot up there. I don't know off the top of my head that could seat enough. But You got to figure that, and I said this earlier, and I agree with you. I don't think it has to be a financial success. I do think that they will make every effort to ensure that that is a packed house and there are as many people there as possible. And honestly, especially with this being the very first one, they're not going to want this thing to fall flat because, you know, the absolute worst thing that could happen to WWE at this point is for this show to flop and for there to be a shit ton of empty seats. So they're going to stack this thing with as many names as they possibly can. What's up, Bianca Rose? Welcome back. Good to see you, ma'am. They're going to stack this thing with as many people as they possibly can. They've already mentioned they're bringing back Trish and Lita and Beth Phoenix. They're going to go pulling out all the stops so that they can get as many women's names. Yeah, but they're draws. I mean, in terms of women's wrestling, they're draws.
In terms of that, yes, but I mean, what do they bring to the table besides? I know they're bringing their drawing ability, but
that's
enough.
Do
you honestly think that Trish Stratus can? You know, we saw the fucking shenanigans that was the women's Royal Rumble,
right? But Trish looked great.
Trish
was
looked
one fantastic.
Of the few.
Trish but she looked great though.
Few. Like Lita, except for that moonsault thing, and I think she had the Phantom kick in, but that's just being picky. But those two, and you can't really count the Bellas because, I mean, they haven't been that far removed from competing.
It's a nostalgia thing, man. It's the same thing that you and I go back and forth
are we gonna
about
see
The
Trish,
Undertaker.
Are we going to see Trish versus? Now, I mean, I think if you do that, you book Trish versus Lita one last time.
Maybe so.
Because
it makes more sense than putting them against somebody that's on the current roster now.
Exactly, because it does nothing for the women on the current roster because, what if you
beat some old
beat
over the hill lady, which nobody would really call
that.
them that. But
that's very disrespectful.
I said nobody would really call them that. I backtracked a little bit.
I was going to say you beat a bitch that ain't wrestled in like 20 years.
And you call them a bitch, and I say that they're,
but that's just how I talk.
This is what.
But point being is like that doesn't do anything.
Nobody's going to take that match seriously. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like,
I'm with you. I'm with you.
So I think you have to put like Trish versus Lita, or Trish versus Lita,
or you put them in some kind of gimmick match that.
No, you have.
Which they might. I'm not saying that I would like to see that. I would much rather see. Let's see Trish and Lita go out one more time. I think that would be a lot of fun.
What do you think would main event that show, though?
Oh, certainly not Trish versus Lita.
No. Well, no.
No, there's no way. It's going to be one of the titles. And whichever title Charlotte Flair is holding at the time. That's going to be my thing.
Not be on, but
that's going to be whichever one Charlotte is challenging for will be the one.
Yeah, but actually, you know what? I wouldn't mind a triple threat. That's what I would propose. Triple threat: Shayna Baszler, Carmella, and Alexa Bliss. The three women's champions.
3 champs. That'd be a cool match.
Because you can't put one title over the other, right?
That's true.
So what do? You put them all in that match. That way, because it makes it more special because we've seen women's champion meet because they met at last year's Survivor Series, both the women's champions at the time.
And the men's champions, which was a phenomenal match. That was great.
So, to take it a step further, we've seen the Raw and the SmackDown Women's Champion. Let's see how the NXT Women's Champ fares against these two champions. And, I think that will blow people's minds in what, one, showing it's like a sink or swim for
Shayna Baszler.
Yeah, because she can either come out looking great
or like she's totally over her head.
Yeah. Expose her.
Which, again, I don't think they're... What's up, Glugstep? Thank you for joining us, man. Feel free to chime in on the discussion. I don't think they're going to put her in that scenario, number one. And number two, I think they'll work towards this match to a point to where no matter who's in it, it ends up looking good. Brooke brings up an interesting point. It would be interesting to see Lita versus Trish one more time, or maybe see them in a tag team match, maybe against something like Sasha and Bayley. Now, the only reason I don't shit on that idea is because if we are moving towards having women's tag team champions and we don't have it by the time this event comes around, why not put Lita and Trish against maybe a Sasha and a Bayley, let them tear the fucking house down, and then that's when they say, oh, well, see, everybody reacted so great to the women's tag team match at Evolution, we got to have women's tag team championships. They can use that to kind of build to the women's tag team championships.
I mean, my issue with that is the same as it would have been one-on-one. Is Bayley and Sasha, if they beat Trish and Lita, they just beat two women who haven't wrestled in 10, 15 years.
Yeah, but I don't know, man.
If they lose, they lose more ground because they lost to women who ain't wrestled in 10, 15 years.
No, you know what that would be? The narrative behind that everybody would build is, it was a passing of the torch. It was a passing of the torch from Lita and Trish to Bayley and Sasha.
Wrestled in years.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's a symbolic passing of the torch. It is a symbolic passing of the torch.
What are you talking about,
That's exactly what it would be. I'm telling you right now, that would be
stupid.
That would be the narrative. That would absolutely be the narrative.
Fucking stupidity.
No, it wouldn't. Why would it be stupid? How many times have we used the phrase "passing of the torch" in WWE?
That's normally used when a wrestler who's been there and is still competing and is on his way out does the job for the guy who's coming on his way up. You're talking, how the fuck these girls have a torch and they ain't wrestled in 15 fucking years?
Don't tell me that the first two names that come up when you ask anybody about women's WWE wrestling, who's the first two names? Don't tell me that WWE doesn't write their own narratives about shit even when it doesn't matter. We're seeing it right now, this being a big deal for an all-women's pay-per-view event. Fucking Bully Ray tweeted about it earlier. He was like, man, this is really great for the WWE women. Of course, I liked it, a few years ago when fucking TNA did it. But hey, it's good for them. They write their own narratives, man. It doesn't matter.
It's complete and utter lunacy.
Lunacy. See, yes. David says it's not stupid, Silky. And he's not just saying that because he's my kid. It's because he's got good taste in wrestling. That's what it's all about.
He does have good taste in wrestling. But that idea right there, the idea that Trish and Lita still have this torch of women's wrestling and they haven't competed in a competitive match in 15 fucking years is complete and utter lunacy.
It's not lunacy.
Yes, it is.
You're saying Jim Cornette would say it.
It's a goddamn abortion and a disgrace.
That's what you would say.
I wouldn't go that far as say it's a goddamn abortion and a disgrace.
Oh, goodness. All right, well, women's tag team titles aside, should be a good time. Should be some great matches. They're going to see a lot of familiar faces, so that'll be good. And we'll see how things play out over the next couple of months. Now, let's get to this main event tonight on Raw. We had Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley going towards. Okay, go ahead, man. That's how Silky. I'm going to tell you exactly. This was Silky at the finish of that match right here. That's what it was.
No, God.
That was Silky.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, God, please, no.
That was.
No.
Yep.
No. No.
Yeah, that was pretty much the two of us sitting here.
What?
Man, I'll tell you, dude.
Fuck.
What's up, Flams Brags? Glad to have you with us. All you guys that are joining us here tonight. Make sure to share the program. Give it a like. Head on over to the YouTube channel. If you're watching us there, make sure to like it, share it, all that kind of fun stuff. Subscribe wherever you're listening to us. We always enjoy chatting with you guys. So we get to the main event tonight. And I don't think there were a whole lot of people. I mean, the naysayers and the people who say, well, of course Roman's going to win. It's Roman Reigns. And we all kind of go, no, come on. They're not going to do that shit again. They did that shit again. It's completely unbelievable. I could not believe Dr. Huge in the house. What's up, Dr. Hugenstein? You guys need to check out his show as well, the Dr. Huge Show. He is on Periscope and YouTube. So I'm a big fan of the Hugenverse. I always enjoy going to check out his show. He's a lot of fun. So back to this Roman Reigns.
What in the fuck?
Is there any chance? What? Is there any chance that this thing gets tweaked to maybe a triple threat or something like that? Or are we really going to get Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar again as the main event?
It could get tweaked, but it's going to be one of those situations where, like, in Negro Damas moment coming up.
Oh, here it comes. Okay, well, Silky's going Negro Damas, so.
I say Kevin Owens beats Braun and takes that Money in the Bank and cashes in and adds himself in to where it's a triple threat match.
So you like Kevin Owens taking the Money in the Bank briefcase away from Braun Strowman?
Yes, because Braun Strowman having it, like I've stated before, it does nothing for him. He's a big guy, so it actually takes away from him that he would cash in like that. Kevin Owens, obviously not above that.
No, it's a total bitch move for Kevin Owens to do something like that. It's brilliant.
Great. Yeah, it would be fucking
That's
brilliant.
Why he was my pick, using the formula.
That didn't work. Anyway.
To Kevin Owens was the odds-on favorite to win. Obviously, something must have gone crazy behind the scenes because, the various algorithms and mathematical calculations that I used to pick Kevin Owens somehow didn't work out. But, it's all good. So, Kevin Owens, to me, should have been the guy from the get-go. Kevin Owens, you had The Miz. I think either one of those guys would have been great.
That would have been great.
Miz is doing reality TV shit now, so, he's got his thing going on, and he's going to end up fighting Daniel Bryan. But we got to get back.
Yeah.
So Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, are we...
That's the only way, because one, that's the only way you can put, if you're not willing to pull the trigger and have him beat fucking Lesnar clean, right?
Right.
You have to add someone, which Kevin Owens adding to himself to that match. And Kevin Owens, the type of character he's been portrayed as, I mean, it wouldn't be above him to cash in, but then slip on the banana peel, and that's how. So Roman takes it off Kevin.
Do you think at this point that fans are just so ready for the belt to be off of Brock Lesnar that even Roman Reigns would be okay as far as they were concerned? And then the next week they can just go back to booing him like they always do anyway?
Well, that is true. I mean, it might be fucking genius when you think about it.
I mean,
because
stranger things have happened.
That the fans overwhelmingly have issues with. They have issues with Brock not being there.
Yes.
They know Roman's there. They hate the fact that he's there so much.
Yes.
But they want that title there. So it's almost like a big fuck you to the fans. Like, hey, you wanted someone that's going to be there all the time. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to put this belt on Roman Reigns. He's there all the time. And you guys can eat a dick.
Yeah, now here's the thing. It's... You and I took umbrage with the crowd in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Fucking up the Seth Rollins-Dolph Ziggler match. My son David and I were in New Orleans for WrestleMania this year, and they fucked up that main event with Roman and Brock Lesnar. I don't see any scenario where this crowd, because it's a New York crowd, doesn't just shit all over this match, and it's not just another complete debacle like we had before. I mean, I think... And Dr. Hughes says things could change, and I'm with you. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something like a triple threat happen. I'll tell you what, though, whoever's the Money in the Bank guy, whether Braun retains it or if Kevin Owens gets it, if he cashes in after whoever wins that Roman Reigns Brock Lesnar match, he's going to get the biggest fucking babyface pop we've heard in WWE in a long fucking time.
So that could be why you don't put Kevin Owens in there.
Could be,
but. If Braun wins, I think Braun has to cash in at the beginning of the night and make it a full-on triple threat match, not wait like Seth Rollins did to the end of the match to pick the bones because he's just too big of a guy.
So how's he going to cash in when there's not a match going on?
Well, no. What he does is they announce the match. Both guys come out, and in the middle of the announcement, that Braun Strowman shit, and he comes down to the ring.
Oh, you're saying he just comes and wrecks shit at the very beginning of the match?
Yeah, not necessarily wreck shit. He comes over and says, I want in on this match.
I got you. I see what you're saying.
Now it's a triple threat match, and not like him cashing in, because then he can win it straight up, where no matter who he pins, and it doesn't hurt him as his character as this big guy who could beat up anyone. Why the fuck would he need to wait?
Yeah,
and cash in.
That's a good point. And we've seen guys do that in the past. Cena did that in the past where he just said, hey, I'm going to challenge so-and-so on this date, and that's what it's going to be. Yeah. So we could see that happen there. I still think... I am. I get to the point to where I just... Oh, dear God. That's exactly right. So we got to give a shout out to Dr. Huge because, I've had these things on my, little sound bank here. We had your Negro Damas music and everything else. And that's one of the things I dig about Dr. Huge's show is he does a great job with the sound bank. I was like, I need to update the sound bank. It's been far too long since we've updated this thing. So, but I don't understand. Again, I will say this until I'm blue in the face, and I don't care how many people disagree because I totally feel that Vince feels the exact same way. It's his company and he can do whatever the fuck he wants with it. And obviously he wants Roman Reigns in the main event picture. And so Roman Reigns is going to be in the fucking main event picture. And fans can bitch about it all they want, but at the end of the day, you keep spending money, you keep going to the events, you keep buying the merch, whatever the case may be, as long as that stock price is still shooting through the roof, which it is, Vince doesn't give a shit. But at the same time, at some point, don't you say to yourself, it would be nice if we ended a pay-per-view with the crowd on their feet and cheering and not kicking around fucking beach balls and chanting Rusev Day in a match that Rusev's not even in. And I'm not saying you pander to these assholes that go there to fucking hijack matches, because you know how I feel about that. I'll tell you exactly what it is.
It's a goddamn abortion and a disgrace.
It is a goddamn abortion and a disgrace when people come in and fuck up and go to business for themselves and fuck up everybody else's good time. But at the same time, at some point, you got to look at this and say, there's got to be something different we can do. And I thought Lashley was the guy.
I didn't think Lashley was really ready. You think about it. I mean, that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I'm not saying that anything about his talent, but I mean, it's too quick of a progression. Like, I think he just needs more of those big time feuds. I mean, that was a big thing, him getting the win against Roman.
That's what was so huge about it.
Drop it this soon and give that heat back to Roman. But, you know, I put him in with some other top of the line guys, but so he can build that, because you think about it, what has he done to earn that title shot?
Well, here's the thing.
I mean, he beat Sami Zayn. Whoop the fucking do.
Who do you really think that the fans in particular, just the fan base overall, if Bobby Lashley would have won that match tonight, do you think the fan base would have said, it's too fucking soon for Lashley, he doesn't deserve that shot?
I'm not saying he doesn't deserve that shot. I'm saying that it is something that I think he's not ready for that shot. I mean, things have changed.
God. Oh, sorry. See, that's what I get for having the sound shit in front of me for the first time in a while. No, I mean, I don't know, man. It didn't seem like people had a problem with him beating Roman at the pay-per-view, and maybe it's just because he beat Roman and people love to see that guy fucking lose, so maybe that was it.
I mean, and I like that, but I feel like more of that. I feel like that came too soon. Like, I feel like after Sammy, he needed to go up a little bit in competition and fight someone else, and then fight someone else, and then eventually you get to that Roman. So after you beat Roman, there's no dispute that you're ready for Lashley. I mean for Lesnar. What has he done? Think about it. Since he's come back, he beat Sami Zayn, then he beat Roman.
But you can't discount what he did before he came back. It's not like he's coming in at the
bottom. What's that got to do with
the bottom rung, and you're just saying, he's just some fucking jamoke that we pulled off the streets and threw into the fucking match. No, he didn't.
Essentially did.
As soon as he came back, Sami Zayn is injured, by the way, David, since you asked that question. And Brooke, we're going to get to your Kevin Owens take in just a minute, because, damn it, we're not going to have any Kevin Owens slander on this program.
What?
But anyway.
I mean, what does that matter? It's like,
I'm just saying,
in the past.
You're saying it's too soon. I'm saying that if it was a brand new guy that they just called up from NXT, or some guy like, Elias, who was in NXT for a short period of time, and then all of a sudden you're talking about putting him in the main event at SummerSlam, yeah, you could say, okay, well, maybe it's a little bit too soon. I mean, this guy's got a shit ton of pedigree, not only within the WWE, where he's held titles in the past, but he also did spectacularly over at Impact. He also did great at Bellator as an MMA guy.
Doesn't matter.
It does matter when you're bringing him in.
Not within the machine.
Okay, so how the fuck is Ronda Rousey in the main event women's picture then?
How's she in? Because she puts asses in seats. Ass every 18 inches. That's why she's there.
So it doesn't matter that she has no wrestling pedigree whatsoever, and she's basically a nobody when it comes to pro wrestling.
It does not. Because, I mean, again, at the end of the day, wrestling is a business. And
yeah, but now you're moving the goalpost, because a minute ago you said it was just because Lashley didn't have any other feuds and he didn't have some other guys he needed to work his way up.
He does.
Meanwhile, Ronda waltzes right fucking in, has one match,
your way up,
and gets a title shot.
That's how the fans get behind you. Then when the fans get behind you, more people buy your merch. When more people buy your merch, you put them in a bigger feud. You put them in a bigger feud. Now he's bringing money into the company. He's putting an ass every 18 inches, as Jim Ross would say.
Hey, I totally
agree with you there.
And now
you can put him in the ring with Lesnar. So no, I haven't moved the goalpost. It's the same fucking goalpost.
It's not exactly.
It is 100% the same.
Slightly different goalpost.
It's not a
than
slightly.
It was before.
It's the same fucking goalpost.
But let's get to this Kevin Owens take from Brooke here. Kevin Owens is such a crybaby. Did you see Mankind whine and complain after he fell off a steel cage?
Well, I mean, that's a great take.
It is. That's why I can't help but laugh at it. Because you know how much I love Kevin Owens. I absolutely love that guy. And
See, and Brooke says I'm right. It's true. It's about the money. If it
I
don't
know
make,
it's about the
if
money.
it don't make dollars,
but
it don't make
you
sense.
didn't say that a minute ago. You said it was he needed to move up and fight some better guys
He does
first.
because, and what do when you move up and fight better guys? You get more fanfare, and the more fanfare, the more fans paying their money to see your shit.
I'm sorry we're coming back to this, folks, because we are going to talk about this. We're going to move on a little bit and talk a little bit about the G1 before we get out of here. But you've said yourself, you've said it on this show, the most seats that you can sell for an event is a sellout. That's it. You can't sell any more fucking seats than that.
That is true.
Do you honestly think that they need to put a big name in the main event at SummerSlam to sell that out?
No, but
they're not. They're going to
need to
fucking
put a
sell
big
it out
name
anyway.
in the main event at SummerSlam to get buy rates, to get people to who don't have the network to buy the fucking network.
No, come on.
Yes.
Nobody who doesn't have the network already is going to look at anybody that's on the men's roster. And you could make the argument that maybe some people are considering who aren't WWE fans giving it a shot because they were fans of Ronda Rousey. You can maybe make that argument, okay? But there's nobody on the men's roster right now that if you throw them in the main event at SummerSlam, casual wrestling fans are going to go, oh shit, well I got to get the network because I got to see that match. No, there's no fucking guys like that. So there's no reason whatsoever that Bobby Lashley couldn't have come in and had that match.
Yes, there is an exact reason. It's called money.
Yeah, okay.
It is called money.
We're going to take this off camera after the show is over here. Let's move on because we're coming close to the top of the hour when we get out of here. I want to talk about the G1 a little bit.
G1.
So, Kenny Omega,
undefeated.
IWGP Heavyweight Champion, still undefeated. And we have one more undefeated wrestler as of right now.
And that is Evil.
Evil, also undefeated. Now, our boy, who we both picked to win the whole thing, Tama Tonga,
it's not doing so well.
First of all, he's not doing so well in the tournament. I want everybody to go and check out.
My second pick, though, is doing great. Jay White.
That is not your second pick.
That's my
Your fucking
second
second pick was Hangman Page, who's dropping a steaming turd in the G1. It's absolutely horrible.
Revisionist
Hangman,
history.
my fucking semifinal pick.
Yeah, you said
Or
Hangman.
my number online, which is, at some point, I said, at some point, sometimes you just want to light Twitter on fire and just fucking leave it for dead.
Yeah.
That's chicken shit thing to do.
Shut up, Matt.
But some people were talking about how, holy shit, did Tama Tonga get his Twitter hacked too, because he was going completely nuts at this one guy. So it was completely nuts. Let's take a look at the standings thus far for the G1 Climax. Again, my pick and Silky's pick, Tama Tonga. And I had, thank you very much, Switchblade Jay White as the runner-up. Silky had Hangman Page, who is not having a good tournament at all.
At all.
But you were watching earlier today, and you caught a couple of matches. Tell the folks about which ones you were watching.
I saw Toru Yano actually beat Ibushi, which was surprising because it's Yano and Ibushi.
And for those of you that don't know Toru Yano,
he's a comedy wrestler.
He's a comedy guy. He's a big
But
goof. Think of like a Japanese New Day character. That's pretty much what he is.
I like, though, the story they're going with him is the fact that he is trying to do this like he's like
straight-laced.
Yeah. Well, and he's having that inner battle of like he still wants to do the comic shit, but that's still dirty.
He has this gimmick where he does goofy shit during the match. He takes the turnbuckle off and all this other kind of stuff. And there's this inner turmoil within him that he doesn't want to do that. He wants to play it straight.
It's legit. His finisher is the low blow.
It's a lot of people have actually. Our friend Mr. Warren Hayes at Mr. Warren Hayes on Twitter has said that he really enjoys what Toru Yano has done.
Actually, we misspoke. I forgot Evil did lose to Elgin, but he's still at the top of the leaderboard.
Yes, we've got. We're looking at the leaders right now. Your current standings: Evil. Hiroshi Tanahashi, one of our favorites,
yes.
And Switchblade Jay White currently at the top of Block A with 6 points. And you've got Kenny Omega alone at the top of the B block with 6 points himself.
And costing, like, that loss to Yano cost Ibushi a tie. And another big thing is fucking Juice Robinson, the United States champion, has not won a fucking match yet.
0 matches.
0.
That is not good. They're
Lost
not exactly...
Naito.
Not doing him any favors after winning the U.S. title. So
I mean, his promos sound the same. It's like he's going to have a list of people that he's like, after you can get a title shot because everyone's fucking beating him.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, not a person has lost to him.
So looking at the upcoming matches for these guys, we've still got a couple of big ones to look for, especially those of you that are big New Japan fans will be on the lookout for these. You got Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi, the Golden Lovers tag team, going to have to go one-on-one. Those two currently stand 1 and 2 in their block. We've seen crazy things happen late in the tournament where guys have cost friends of theirs, colleagues of theirs,
like
guys
the
that
spoiler, where it's like the one guy has nothing to really gain from winning, but the other guy has everything to lose by losing.
Yeah.
And then he loses, and you're like, oh, that's fucked up.
Well, and we even saw it similarly with Lance Hoyt.
Yeah.
One of the guys that you know very well made it to the final day of the G1. I think it was back in, I want to say 2011 perhaps. And he was first place in his block, headed for the finals. And the last day, he had a match against tag team partner Davey Boy Smith Jr., and Davey Boy Smith Jr. fucking beat him and knocked him out of the finals, which is kind of fucked up. But I think that would add a lot of intrigue. I don't know what the exact schedule is, but for Omega and Ibushi to have that match kind of on the horizon, I think that will be a good one as well. And we saw Kenny Omega go over on Tama Tonga.
Well, it was DQ.
Because of a DQ. That seems to be the MO right now for Tama Tonga, is to just send a message by beating the shit out of people and get disqualified.
His whole thing is he's taking it back to the original Bullet Club, and that's what they did. They didn't give a fuck about rules. They came in, they beat people's asses, and long as someone's ass was beat,
then they were okay with that.
Yeah, then they were great. They don't care. Like, you saw the promo that went viral like years ago where, he basically said he don't give a fuck about the G1. He's like, that shit ain't special. There's no loyalty. There's no honor in fighting in the G1. It's the same people.
Wrestling it's wrestling like any other wrestling match that I go into, and
so
I go in to kick ass.
So I think that we might have mispicked on him. It's probably going to be, and there's still some matches left. He could make a climb to the top.
Technically
he's sitting at 2.
He's sitting at 2 points. Omega's got 6. So he's 2 wins away from the top of the bracket. It's not like it can't happen.
Yeah.
But it is looking like,
surprisingly, that night, you would think that Kenny versus Tama Tonga would main event the show. No, it was Goto versus Ishii, and they fucking
tore the house down.
They tore the house down. I was really surprised and pleased with that match.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet, but that was one of the ones on my list where people were like, "You've got to check this one out because these guys absolutely crushed it." So that's one I'll definitely go back and see. Yeah, and I got to give a tip of the cap to Silky here because a lot of the fanfare when the blocks were announced was over the B block and what was going on there. And honestly, there have been a lot of surprises and a lot of really, really, really good matches in that A block. Like you said, there's a lot of guys there that are doing fantastic work. So you've still got Evil and Tanahashi to come, both of those guys in first place. You've still got Evil and Jay White to come, both of those guys tied for first place. So there's some really big matches, still coming up. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's always fun to see how it shakes out because you look at it at about the midway point where we are now, and there always seems to be some guy who's kind of hovering around the middle of the pack or maybe even on the lower end that all of a sudden goes on a run and wins 3-4 in a row to get into the final.
And that's all it takes in this tournament.
In this format,
round robin that they do is a couple of good wins. So, really, with the exception of probably Juice because of the fact that he hasn't won one match yet.
Yeah.
Pretty much anyone can go on that streak and end up in the finals. And then that's all you have to do is get to that finals, and then it's just a one-on-one match from there. No points or anything like that. You beat the guy, you're in.
Could this be the year, since he's in first place, could this be the year that Kenny Omega wins the G1 as the IWGP Heavyweight Champion?
I don't think so. I think the story, what I see happening is that Ibushi stays close, and then basically at the end, Ibushi wins the block. I don't see Ibushi actually winning the G1 because, I don't see that happening. So I see Ibushi losing to whoever.
Why wouldn't you see Ibushi winning the G1?
I don't know. It's just that, the idea of them wrestling at Wrestle Kingdom, Japanese fans are a lot different than American fans. American fans would salivate over that match.
Japanese fans are like, you're buddies.
Yeah.
We want to see you be buddies.
Yeah, I don't think it would, like you say, put asses in seats.
Yeah.
For as much as, like, putting like a Switchblade Jay White, which he's got right now, bar none, best fucking heel in New Japan.
Possibly so good.
Possibly in the wrestling game as of right now. He's been
good.
on that big of a roll.
He's been so good. Yeah, I totally agree with you there. Let's get to Brooke's question. She's taking it back to WWE. Do you think Dean Ambrose will cost Seth Rollins the match at SummerSlam, or will he go back to SmackDown Live and start something with Samoa Joe, since Joe was the one that caused his injury? Where do you see Dean Ambrose fitting into the mix when he returns?
I don't think he costs anyone. I think if anything, it'd be a surprise, like come out and help.
Yeah, you don't think he's, because there seems to be a lot of speculation that we might be seeing a heel Ambrose coming back. Now, I don't know if that's just wishful thinking, that's what people want to see, or whether or not there's actually a legitimate Ambrose heel turn on the horizon.
If there is, I think that I would rather see, because the Shield thing, the destruction of the Shield's fucking gone. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's no longer relevant anymore to promote, like, two former Shield mates fighting. They've done it to death.
Yeah, they have.
So if it were me, I would not, and I wanted to turn Ambrose heel, I would, turn him heel against somebody else that's extremely over with the fans.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, the Shield thing died when all three of those guys held the title on the same fucking night.
Yes.
It's just, you've been there and done that. So, yeah, Brooke, I don't necessarily see him coming back as a heel. I know a lot of people have been speculating about that, but I could see him coming back and just going after Samoa Joe. I think is a good thing for him. I don't know if that's the best thing for Samoa Joe.
And now with that being said, he could. It's the worst kept secret unless they decide to change. But right now, it seems to boys that Paige is going to name Joe AJ's opponent at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Which, if that does happen, that would be a great place for Dean Ambrose to pop up. And then you get the best of both worlds. As a face, he'll be extremely over, costing Joe the title. As a heel, he'll be extremely hated to cost AJ the title. And I would actually love that, because now they can go on a feud separate for the title, because we've seen them feud over the title. Now let's give them something personal to feud over.
Right.
And Joe becoming WWE Championship would be fucking awesome.
Yeah, and that's one of the things where, again, I want to say it was our buddy Warren Hayes again. I bring his name up a lot because we chat a lot on Twitter, but he mentioned something about how having Joe against AJ might not be the best thing, because Joe, despite what he's been doing, and the reputation that he has, he's been taking a fair number of losses recently. And, he gets wins. We've seen him come in and demolish, Ty Dillinger because it's a SmackDown Live match and whatever. Yeah. But Joe needs to be somewhere where he can start winning on the big stage again. He can start winning some big pay-per-view matches. And so for him to go to SummerSlam and dump to AJ Styles, and I believe the reasoning, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I've heard this from other people, that WWE being very image conscious and always having much more.
Wait, fuck that.
No, hold on. Fuck what?
Oh, I thought you were going to go with image conscious, and they don't want to put the WWE title on him because he's not like
no,
like,
no, not that. I was going to say because they wouldn't necessarily take the title off of AJ because he's your cover boy for WWE 2K19, which is getting ready to drop, and taking the title off him right before the video game drops. Now it's kind of I admit it's a stretch in some regards, but look,
it's a stretch because no one's going to be like, I'm gonna buy that game. Wait, AJ's not champ? Oh, fuck that game. I'm not buying that game. No,
I know that, and you know that, but again, there are people out there who speculate these kind of things, and you look at it and you go, okay, well, it's not a totally absurd idea.
It's a totally absurd idea.
It is not a totally absurd idea that you would keep the championship on the guy that's going to be on the cover of your video game. Because you want him to be the biggest name in the business. Well, okay. Now, technically speaking, the biggest name in the business should be the fucking champion, but he doesn't main event the fucking show, and, we don't.
You get what you get. No, I get what you're saying, but no, I don't think that that's going to be, because I'm pretty sure that there were times where the cover star was not champion.
Oh, no, I'm with you there.
So,
but the fact that he is, for them to take it off right away.
See, this, by David, this is why I think it doesn't matter. I'm getting the game no matter what.
And Brooke pre-ordered
her copy on Xbox.
Because she wants to play as Ronda Rousey. Probably because she wants to play as Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, probably.
Well, I don't know. Maybe she wants to play as Ronda Rousey. I don't know.
But people are going to buy that game no matter what. And I think for the interest of what you're doing going forward, you've done what you can do with AJ as champ. You really have.
Okay.
So I think you put the title on Joe.
Hey, listen, you get no complaints from me on that one.
Because Joe, Joe was the only person, when you think about it, not even Braun Strowman, he was the only person that really just physically imposed on Brock Lesnar.
No, I agree.
When you watch that, go back and watch that. And I know a lot of people talk shit because, it's like he beat the shit out of him and it took one F5. But, I like that because it was a throwback because F5 is supposed to mean something.
No, I agree.
His finish was supposed to mean something. And
it should mean something.
If you look back at how he treated Lesnar, even leading into the match, nobody fucking beat Lesnar down like that.
No, nobody talked to him like that.
Not fucking AJ.
Yeah.
Not fucking Strowman. Not Kane. Not Undertaker.
Well, and
the list goes on and on. But Joe did that. So
WWE just put this match up on their YouTube channel. I believe it was earlier today. They went back to that fatal four-way match.
Yeah.
With Lesnar, Reigns, Samoa Joe, and Strowman.
Yeah.
And if you look at the way Samoa Joe came at Brock Lesnar in that match as well.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Joe was outstanding in that match. So
he is the only person who legitimately had people thinking that fucking Lesnar's human.
Yeah.
Like everyone else played to this monster.
And not because he was Vince's boy.
No.
And not because, because people saw Roman winning that. And the reason they saw Roman winning that, most people were thinking, okay, well, Vince has tapped him as the guy. So, of course, he's going to win. But in terms of legitimate in-ring skill, a guy that we like a lot, Jim Cornette, he said it. They asked him for fucking ever, what's a match that you would book? Dream match you would book today. And it was right after Samoa Joe had come up. He said, no fucking hesitation. Samoa Joe, Brock Lesnar. That match would tear the fucking house down. And they gave it one shot. It was an okay match. It was a pretty good match.
I thought it was a great match.
And they never revisited it again.
No, they didn't.
And that's a shame because it could have been something very special.
This is why I say Joe and AJ, you put the title on Joe, you bring Dean back as a heel, and then boom, that gets AJ out of the title picture, and then we can start working towards some contenders for Joe. And that's how you get him. Sometimes you get the title because you're over, and sometimes you need that title to get you over. And I think Joe's at that point where he needs that title to get him over more because when he's champ, now he's not eating all these losses.
That's right. And he needs to stop eating those losses because he is a total badass. All right, folks, it's getting to be about that time, so we are going to sign off for the evening. Remember to subscribe on our YouTube channel, tinyurl.com/Speez Benchmark. Give us a follow on social media.
At Speez Benchmark, and you can follow us individually at Benchmark Silky and at Chris Spizak.
Exactly. So do us a favor and share this program. Like this program. If you're on the YouTubes especially, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And thank you all for being with us. Thank you, sir. Good to see you again. Any parting words for the people before we get out?
Hey, just if you're in the Katy area in August 26th, DZW's got another big show. I'm going to be punching someone several times around the facial region.
It'll be a good thing, so check that out. Good to have you with us, folks. We'll see you Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central, Speez in the Benchmark Show. Have a good night.